Hello, here we are on the second video lesson for section 3.5, and on this we're going to be writing equations of lines with a formula called point-slope form. And so basically what we do with point-slope form is we substitute what we know and then we simplify it to write it in standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. So in this, obviously 4 is m. But this is going to be my ordered pair, x sub 1 and y sub 1, and then those are going to be substituted into our formula. So I'm going to just work right below this. I'm going to say y minus 3, because y sub 1 is 3. Right, here's my formula for point slope. Well, I don't guess I want to circle it quite like that. And it's called y minus y sub 1 equals m times parentheses x minus x sub 1. So that's going to be equal to 4 times x minus 1. That's very important that you put the parentheses there. Otherwise, this doesn't work out the way it's supposed to. So y minus 3 equals 4x minus 4. All right. Now, we want to kind of rearrange this equation. We want the constant terms together on the right-hand side. And so that's going to give me y equals 4x minus 1. And then we need the 4x on the other side because we're going to write it with the x first, then the y, and then c. So I'm going to subtract 4x. And that's going to give me y, no, I don't want the y first, negative 4x minus y equals negative 1. Now in standard form, the leading term, the x term, can't be negative. So we're actually going to multiply everything by negative 1 to write standard form. So we end up with 4x plus y equals 1. Now that equation is equivalent to the one that had all the negatives in it, but this is the equation that we were looking for, and now we have it. Oh gosh, that silly thing. Okay, I can't seem to make circles or ovals or whatever these things are, but that is our answer to that. So we're going to use that same formula again. I like to write it out. This helps you learn it too. If you write it every time you're going to use it, then that helps you learn. Now notice it's minus, so we have to be careful with some signs here. On the 9, since it's positive, right, this is my x sub 1, y sub 1. So I'm going to have y minus 9 equals my slope of 2/3 times x. Now this is minus a negative 8. And I don't like to write double negatives in my formula, so I'm going to suggest to you anytime you're subtracting a negative, just like we did when we subtracted negatives on slope, that's going to be x plus 8, and then I'm going to solve that equation. All right, so y minus 9, or simplify, I guess, the equation, get it written in the right form, 2/3 x plus, that's going to be 16/3. Now, on this one, we actually want to get rid of these fractions because when we're writing this in standard form, we won't have fractions. But you know what? I'm going to do this first. I'm going to subtract the 2/3 x, and I'm going to add the 9. And so now we have this 2/3 x, negative 2/3 x, plus y equals. Now if I'm adding those together, 9 with a denominator of 3 would be 27/3. And then I'm going to add 16 and 27. Gosh, I'm trying to do that in my head. So we're going to have 13 and 43 thirds. Now, I'm going to take this up here so we can get this written in standard form, negative 2/3 x plus y equals 43 thirds. So what we have to do is multiply to clear the fractions and the fact that I need to multiply by a negative. So negative 3 on both sides. And here's what happens then. That's the same as saying 6 over 3, which is 2x minus 3y equals negative 43. And we are finished, and we have our equation written in standard form. You can kind of double check this by substituting in the x and the y. So if I said 2 times, on your ordered pair, if I said 2 times negative 8 minus 3 times 9, is that equal to negative 43? Well, this is negative 16 minus 27. So you can see that it checks, right? This equation has this ordered pair of negative 8, 9 as one of its solutions. And remember, that's supposed to be how this works. Okay, so let me see. I think I'm going to do one more slide before we stop this lesson. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to write out the formula. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. All right, this is my x sub 1 and my y sub 1. I kind of like it when it's 0. That's handy. So I'm going to say y minus 0 equals negative 1/5 times x minus 4. And then I'm going to simplify this. Well, I can just drop the 0. So I'm going to have y equals negative 1/5 x plus 4/5. Now, once again, I want my x on the other side. And I'm going to clear the fractions because in standard form, fractions are not acceptable. Okay, so I'm just going to go up here to have more space. 1/5 x plus y equals 4/5. We want to get rid of the 5. We don't have to worry about any negative. The x this time, the coefficient is positive. So multiply everything times 5, both sides of the equation. And that's going to give me x plus 5y equals 4. And so we have written another equation of a line, and that's it on that one. I'm going to stop this video and pick up on the next slide.